All right, if everyone's ready, we will get started. We'll call the meeting to order and stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, hello everyone. Thanks for coming. We're going to start the meeting tonight with amending the agenda. There will be 3 changes to tonight's agenda. So I will need a motion to amend the agenda to add the administration of the oath of office to Ron Miller at the beginning of the agenda. And additionally, we will be adding a resolution to approve an acting superintendent to the board action items. And last, we will be removing change order GC 5 from the consent agenda. So can I get a motion for that, please? Jeremy, thank you. Can I get a second? Matt, thanks. Is there any discussion on the changes? The only thing I'll add is, in case someone's wondering why we're re-administrating the oath to Ron, is that Ron's term ended the night of the vote. He had the most votes. By statute, the candidate with the most votes immediately takes the seat. In this case, in essence, it seems like Ron won his own seat, but that's what we're doing. All in favor? Any other discussion on the changes to the agenda tonight? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, thank you. Then at that, can I have a motion to approve the amended agenda for tonight? Karen, thank you. Second?
Carla, it's your turn.
Carla, thank you. Any discussion on tonight's amended agenda? Very good. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, thanks. Next, I'll need a motion to approve the meeting minutes for May 1st and May 8th of 2014. Deb, thank you. Second. Karen, thank you. Any discussion on the minutes? All in favor? And any opposed? All right. With that, I'll ask Ron Miller to step forward, and we'll have our district clerk, Kathy, administer the oath. The only thing stranger would be taking the oath and becoming the president. All right. Next tonight is board recognition, and Jeremy is our communication chairperson, and I'll turn it over to him.
Thank you. As the communication committee chair, we have done some recognitions this year, and we have 2 this evening that we would like to extend, and I believe both of these people are with us tonight. First, we would like to recognize one of our bus drivers for going above and beyond his duties this winter. David Brandon came to work early every day this winter, cleaned snow off of numerous buses, and started them for other drivers so they would not have to be out in the cold. His kindness was not overlooked, and it was appreciated by many. Thank you for being a team player and for taking our long, cold winter in stride. Next, we have a student. board would like to recognize Maddie Greenlee, an 8th grade student from T.C. Armstrong Middle School, for her performance in a public service announcement involving child abuse for Bavona Institute. Maddie volunteered her time to participate in the filming of this announcement. We're very proud of her performance. It takes a strong, caring individual to advocate for children who are in need of help. Thank you, Maddie. You're a role model for us and your peers. And for those of you who cannot see the screen, you may want to stand and move. We are going to show you the PSA that Maddie so kindly took part in.
I think something's wrong, but I'm not sure.
If I tell someone, it might get worse. I don't want to get anyone in trouble. I'm afraid.
How afraid do you think I am?
Find out what, if anything, needs to be done with one confidential call. Trust your gut, even if you're not sure. Call or go to bebraveforkids.org.
So if David and Maddie would like to come up, Phil has a certificate of appreciation. Thank you very much for being a part of our Wayne Central community.
All right, the next item is a discussion among the board about the board-appointed subcommittee. And Joe, I think I'll let you open with this, and then we'll go from there.
Thanks, Phil. This next piece is just a discussion about process for refilling positions. There are 4 positions that are filled by the board on an annual basis. And what we're looking for is just some direction about how you'd like us to proceed with that process. In the past, what we've done is we have done the interviewing and vetting of candidates, and then we've brought the successful candidate to the board for their final approval. If we were wondering if the board would like to continue with that process, or would the board like to perhaps participate in the interview process at an earlier point and bring a candidate to the board from there, just as before, have the whole board look at approval of the final candidate.
Joe, from my perspective, I think it would be appropriate for the district to vet a candidate and to bring a name to the board rather than have the board be involved in the actual interviewing and vetting process.
Any other board members have any comments on this particular topic?
I talked to Greg today a little bit about the position and the process, and my feeling is that we can have the process go forward with the way that it's always been done, but that we go to, advertising in the proper places with BOCES 1, BOCES 2, Finger Lakes, and try to get a good pool of people with the job description and everything along those lines. And then I think, if they have questions or want some input and direction from us, they'll ask us.
Any other board members? I'm in agreement with both of you as well. I don't see any reason to reinvent the wheel or change the process. So do we have consensus from the board that they can do what we've asked them to do, bring us a candidate, and we'll go from there? All right, very good. Next item that we're going to have a discussion about was the Let's Talk tool. I'm going to jump right into the frying pan on this one, and in the interest of just letting it go, I'm just going to be blunt. Everybody knows, or for those of you that have been following, the Let's Talk tool, I was probably the biggest proponent, probably the most vocal proponent, and I supported this tool 100%. However, it hasn't quite worked out the way we hoped. I'll be the first to admit when I'm wrong. although my wife may sometimes disagree with that. I don't think she's here yet. I'll pay later. But the reality is, it has not become, nor has it turned into what we wanted it to be and what we expected it to be. And from my perspective and from the way I've seen it be used, it is actually, instead of being a platform to get information and feedback to the district, the board, the staff, instead it has become a way to anonymously attack all of those. And what has really made it, in my opinion, the worst is that it's driving morale down. And when I say I'm not afraid to admit that I was wrong, I certainly don't want to be the president who oversaw pushing morale any lower. So I am as for it as I was, I'm now as against it. We've heard from our staff, we've heard from our teachers, we've heard from our administrative association. This isn't one or two people. This has been an overwhelming, and this is my opinion, an overwhelming response to the Let's Talk tool that has been completely negative from our teachers, and we are not here to drive morale of our teachers down. So with that, I'm going to ask the board to also, if they have anything to say, please speak up about the Let's Talk tool. This isn't my decision. This is a board topic, so I'd like to hear from everyone. Or anyone.
I wouldn't say I was the biggest supporter of Let's Talk, but I would say I was ambivalent. Would probably be a good way to describe the way I felt about it. I had hope that it would be used in a positive way and give voice to people that may not have felt they had a voice before. We had heard some comments, I think, from the public that there were a certain segment of our public that didn't feel comfortable expressing themselves unless they were anonymous, and I had hoped it would be a positive tool for getting as much input as we could from the public. I have to say I'm embarrassed and somewhat, I don't know if ashamed is the right word, that so many of the people that have chosen to avail themselves of the tool have used it to anonymously attack and degrade people in our district. And I think it's a bad reflection on our district, and I think it's an very unfortunate situation to find ourselves in, but I also think that as a board, it is not responsible of us to leave the people that work in our district open to this type of anonymous attack. It's not at all what the tool was intended to do.
Everybody knows that I wasn't a proponent of the tool. I fought against it vehemently, but it's nothing but hate. Everything that we teach our students here in the school about bullying and being forgiving, it's totally the opposite. All you got to do is look at that tool, man. It's nothing but cyberbullying on it. That's all it is. And I'm just wondering, are we still on the hook for the money? Thank you.
Glad to hear you say that, Phil, because I was also not in support of doing this back when we were discussing it. And I think to summarize what Karen was saying was we had hoped it would be a tool that we could use to move forward, and it was used as a weapon. And I think in a different year, a different time, a different environment, I think it's something that could be looked at again and maybe utilized the way we wanted it, and it would work the way we wanted it to. But where we are right now, it's just not going to work.
And to second Phil, I also felt that we needed a tool for people to be able to come forward and have some open dialogue with people. But I did read every comment that had been sent through. I don't know how many there were, but I read every single one and every response from the administrators or whoever it was directed to. Let me say this. There were a lot of positive things that people did comment to our principals or our administration that they were pleased with, that things were going well, or that they did like this particular program or this particular teacher. It wasn't completely all negative, but the negative comments that were there left no voice for the people to respond to get back to. Calling out an employee on something and leaving the administration with no way to investigate further or to make that circle complete. So I don't know if taking away the anonymous tool would be helpful, or to just take the whole thing down at this point and just start from square one, again, and see where we are. But it was not meant to be a way for our administrators to have more work and to feel like they had been dumped upon. Thank you.
Everything's been said.
I just want to know, did we lose any money on this?
I think the month and a half or the 2.5 months or whatever the time was about 1,500 or 1,400. But I'm just going to jump in because somebody asked a good question, Deb, or someone asked about the funding. We are not on the hook for the next budget year for this. Every fiscal year has an out clause. They literally can't hold it to us. It's one of the contract protections that BOCES has in place. So we are able to, even at this late juncture, not fund it for next year.
For what we paid for this year, did we get any back, or are we at the point that it's not being done? Do we stop paying, or have we paid from the time it started, April 21st or something like that, till June 30th? Are we paying for that entire time?
I don't know the answer to that because right now we have not even told K-12 that we're debating turning this thing off. If we turn it off in the next 5 minutes, I don't know if they will refund us through the end of the year.
Okay.
It's somebody remind me to have that answer for another board meeting because it is an answer we should let everybody know.
Okay, thanks.
Jeremy?
I think we deserve credit for being willing to try something new and for reaching out to our community in a different way. But I also think it's time to turn the thing off.
All right. Joe, Greg, Barb, I'll just, go right at you without any pre-warning. How much work is it turning this thing off? Can we turn it off tomorrow morning? Can we have it done by next week? What are your thoughts? All right, then I'll discuss it with Joe. So here's what I'm asking the board. I'd like to make a motion right now that I'd like to make a motion to turn off the Let's Talk tool immediately and not fund the product for the next fiscal year. Second. Okay, Tom said, well, that is a second. And is there any further discussion on the Let's Talk tool? All in favor? Is there any opposed? All right, then I will be getting with Barb and or Joe at some point and see if we can do it as early as tomorrow morning. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for that. Next on the agenda is public comment. A few more people here than usual, so let me go over the rules again. Seems like every 2 weeks I forget them myself. There's 15 minutes total for public comment. Every person that comes up, we ask you to come up to the microphone. Please state your name and address for the district clerk, and you get 3 minutes. The only other thing that's worth mentioning, because I do see some new faces, is I do ask out of respect to the fellow community members, board, staff, district, all those above, that this is a meeting in the public, so it is not an opportunity to talk derogatively about any staff or employee. So I ask that if you do come up, Please keep it respectful, please keep it civil, and please avoid using people's names. The caveat is you can say anything you want about me. I have big shoulders. But please, just out of respect to our staff and community members, I'd ask that you avoid using names or titles. This is an opportunity for you to bring up some concerns that you have. If you have a specific concern about a specific person, we would ask you to do that through email or phone call to us. And with that being said, public comment, and the first 15 minutes, the first public comment is for items that are on tonight's agenda. The second one is wide open. So with that being said, public comment's open.
It's designed for tall people. Susan Brown, 7518 Knickerbocker Road. I totally appreciate when the board gives recognition to students and staff. When I was president of the PTA at OE and OP, I came forward and recognized the hard work that staff did in supporting us. The fact that you are asking us to avoid names eliminates an opportunity for people to be recognized in public by the public. And while I understand the circumstances that led to this limitation, I think providing the guideline that we would like to have civil discourse and that people should follow the chain of command should be appropriate, and people should be allowed to recognize good, powerful people. We have wonderful staff here, and we should be able to call them out by name. Thank you very much.
Okay. Public comment is closed. Board member comments. I will open the floor to board members.
I had the opportunity a week or two now ago for the second grade chorus concert. First time I believe that OP and Free Will blended. It was phenomenal. It was a great show. There was a lot of people in the pack, and I wanted to commend Mr. LaRouche and Donna Rizzo for their perseverance over two unfortunate events from two young ladies. They handled themselves very, very professionally, and I don't think I could have cleaned that mess up at home, let alone in public. So thank you very much for that.
I just want to say I went to the high school awards night last night, and it was the perfect balance of time spent recognizing kids for some really great accomplishments. There were some wonderful scholarships given out to kids, and the kids were so happy to receive the awards that they received. And I just want to say it was a lovely balance of recognizing the children and letting people get home at a decent hour as well. So I really appreciate that. I loved the format, and I loved seeing the kids up on the stage just so proud of themselves. It was great.
I think Dom. Go ahead, Dom.
Yeah, I'd like to take a second to congratulate Mr. Lantry, Mrs. Pendleton, and Mr. Miller for their win in the school vote last week.
I was also at the undergraduate awards night last night and thoroughly enjoyed the program. I tried to keep track of the dollar value of the potential scholarships that were awarded to the juniors last year. I think I lost track at around $500,000 worth of scholarships. Stephanie is here. She may have a more correct figure, but the amount of money that was potentially available to our juniors last night was truly, truly very nice.
Oh, I know what it was. The two concerts that I went to, I didn't go to the one that Jeremy was at. The high school band concert, I think, was last week. Absolutely unbelievable. I was in band up through middle school, and it was just not anything like that. And even the Free Will Band I saw Tuesday night, and for first-year band students, the third graders, I'm completely blown away by the talent of our kids in this district when it comes to the performing arts. So I just wanted to give them a shout out. It was pretty cool.
All right, thanks. Any more? Next up is the board president comments. I don't know if anybody caught Karen's subtle hints about getting out early and on time, but I did. I would also, Dom stole my thunder. I'd also like to extend the congratulations to the new candidates. So job well done Tuesday night. And I think that's it. So, you know, it's worth mentioning. Listen, in all fairness, it's a board meeting. It's for us. I know that I ask the public to not come up here and lambaste staff and other community members by name. And yeah, that was done for a reason. And if you were there when I first asked that or put that rule in place, I said I can't speak for presidents before Phil McTighe, nor can I speak for presidents after Phil McTighe, which no one's counting, but that's about 2 more meetings. They answer for themselves. All right, we've had some things occur that was a rule I put in place. But please remember, in all fairness to the board, this is a board meeting. And if we want to say good job to somebody, we're going to do it. All right, so it can seem like a, what's the word? Double standard, thank you. And it is, but that's because it's our meeting. So I do apologize for that rule. But anyways, okay, next up, superintendent report. And with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Joe.
Thank you. Tonight we have Mrs. Stephanie Miller and Mrs. Jackie Sonical here. They're going to present to us on the IB, the International Baccalaureate program that we have in the high school. Tonight they're going to give you some background information. They're going to talk about our program and share some results and take any questions.
We don't have music. Okay. Yeah, you can click. Good evening. So we were asked to just do a brief overview of our IB program as it stands at Wayne. So I'm going to give a little history about IB. We're going to talk about how that impacts Wayne and then talk a little bit about our results and enrollment. So IB focuses on international education. So they strive to really deliver that to students. So the IB organization was founded in Geneva, Switzerland in the late 1960s. And it was a group of teachers that came up with this curriculum for the diploma program. And they were really focusing on those students that were internationally mobile. And that program has now developed into 4 programs that is at the primary years, middle years, diploma years, and beyond. So students aging 3 through 19 can benefit from an IB education. So when I refer to an IB school, there are some schools that all their classes are IB, and then there are other schools like Wayne that offer IB courses, so students can enroll in 1, 2, or can enroll in the full IB course load and earn an IB diploma. So the learner profile, that's really the center of the IB education, and it is a set of values that all the teachers and educators and students abide by. So those are posted in rooms, and it really kind of demonstrates that it's not just academic, but also developing students emotionally and socially. So the IB curriculum, and this is a full curriculum if you were or a student was pursuing a diploma. So at the core, again, you'll find the IB learner profile, and again, because it focuses on the student, it's all student-driven. And there are 3 core components. There's an extended essay, which is a research question that the students pursue. There is a CAS piece, which is creativity, action, and service. So again, that would be service to your community or any sort of arts, and also physical activity that they have to engage in addition to the coursework. And lastly, TOK, a Theory of Knowledge course that really connects all the courses that students are taking. So there are 6 groups, and students pick a course within each group. And Ms. Senecal will talk a little bit more about the different courses that we offer.
So I'm going to stand over here. Okay, as Stephanie said, there are 6 groups. IB likes to categorize things. So that's the numbers that you see on the left-hand side. In the middle are the various courses that schools have to choose from to instill in their programs. And on the far right-hand side are the courses that we currently offer our students here at Wayne Central. When we first started the program, we started with the very basics. We had the English, the foreign language was Spanish. That was our biggest number. History of the Americas, biology, the 2 math courses, and visual arts. Since then, we've added the German, the Spanish ab initio, and those are kids that want to take a second foreign language. And we've also added theater. We are currently researching and looking into adding a couple more courses in the various different categories. For example, in Category 1, we're looking into adding the language and literature portion to that to give the kids a little more variety to choose from. We would also like to add either physics or chemistry for Group 4, and then for Group 6, music. We've polled a lot of our students, and they would like to have music as a component to the IB program. And then also film studies is another choice. Here, we apologize for the dark, presentation, but this is the current IB team that we have, and as you read the names there, you will see that various teachers play different roles on the IB team. We certainly continue to educate ourselves and pursue that professional development to stay on top of the different courses that IB has to offer, but we are also looking to add to the team, so as we, look at course options for our students as well. You might recognize some of these faces. These are our former and current IB diploma student. That means that they are taking every class as an IB class. So some of you mentioned that you were, actually before I start saying that, just wanted to tell you that there is a misconception that a lot of people think that IB is just for those top students. That is not true. Okay, IB is for it's a program for those students that are motivated to pursue and challenge themselves academically. We certainly have 504 students that have been successful in the IB program, and we certainly have had our share of top-notch students. Last year's salutatorian and valedictorian were IB diploma students. Those of you that said you were at the awards night last night, 6 of those students that received scholarships from area colleges are full IB program students. So we were very proud and very excited to see them recognized. This is the trend that we have here at Wayne Central. Throughout the years, we started in 2010, and currently this shows the number of students in blue are the students that are taking 1, 2, or 3 or more IB courses. The orange are the numbers of kids that have earned the full diploma. So as you can see, in 2010, we had 1 student out of 5 earn the diploma. We were new at it. We were flying by the seat of our pants. We really didn't know what to expect, but we did achieve 1 student who earned the diploma. In 2011, we pulled our pants up and we challenged that, and were much more successful. Out of 5 diploma students, 4 out of the 5 earned the diploma. In 2012 and 2013, that's when I came on as the coordinator, and I am very happy to say that those 2 years we have had 100% of our students earn the diploma. This year we have 5 students that in a month they will find out whether they will continue the trend of 100%. Next year we have 8 students that will be adding on to that. This slide right here will give you how we compare to other IB schools. We got these numbers from 2013, so these are accurate, and the numbers that we've gotten for the upperclassmen, that is from their school report cards. What you'll notice is there are some schools that have a high percentage of IB students, and what I have to tell you about that is that Bloomfield and Hilton, those two schools have the middle school years and the primary years to feed into their diploma program. So what does that mean for us at Wayne Central at 12.4%? Okay, that's actually not a bad number. It means that we're holding our own with just having the diploma. And what I would like to leave you with the question is, can you imagine what our results would be if we were to put in the middle school years and the diploma years, thinking of the trends that we saw in the previous slide? This is our conclusion of our presentation. I hope you can read the three testimonials that we have there. Those are former IB students. What I can tell you is that this program is an astounding program for our students. If you get a chance to talk to any of our kids, they will tell you what it really means to them to have this opportunity in their high school career. The majority of students, when they go to college, they tell us that the writing that we put them through, the rigor, the time management, because it is a huge piece of the IB diploma, has really helped them and put them forward and ahead of their peers in college. So most of you, board members, have hopefully received an invitation to our IB banquet, which is going to be next Tuesday. I certainly hope that you can make it, so that way you can hear directly from the students and our former students, because they will be there too, and letting you know how this has enhanced and helped their educational career. Okay. On behalf of Stephanie and I'd like to thank you for your time and attention today.
Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is personnel action. And I'll need a motion to approve the items on tonight's personnel action. Carla, thank you. Karen, second, thank you. Any discussion on the personnel? All in favor? Is there any opposed? Next item is the CPSE recommendation. I'll need a motion to approve the CPSE recommendation. Matt, thank you. Do I have a second? Karen, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? And any opposed? All right. Tortured the students long enough. Why don't we take a 5-minute break? We're moving right along, so let's keep it that way. Not a lot left on the agenda tonight. So let's take a 5-minute break. Students, come on up. The board members will have their hands up. We'll sign it for you, and we'll get right back to business. All right, I think we can get started again. We're moving right along tonight, and it's a nice night. So about another hour and 45 minutes, we'll be finishing up here. All right, the next item on tonight's agenda is the amended consent agenda. And Joe, do you have any highlights you'd like to provide to us?
Sure. The first item are several gifts. Earlier tonight we heard Mr. Miller talk about the undergraduate awards and all the scholarship that was given out to our students, and gifts like this make that possible. So that's the first item on the consent agenda. You'll see item 3, some fairly significant budget transfers. Those are around our BOCES codes, things like our vocational program. So we've just moved some funds within our BOCES, and we've also moved some funds into that BOCES code tonight. The fifth item is the dissolution of some clubs. It takes board action to create clubs. It also takes board action to dissolve them. These are clubs that have largely gone unattended in recent years. And I'd like to ask Mr. Atsef to speak to item number 7, if he would.
So when the board president opened the meeting, he talked about revisions to the agenda. One of those was to pull off one of the change orders. The change order that we're recommending to take off the agenda deals with the concession stand, and there was a change in the flooring. The architect originally had spec'd an epoxy floor, and Mr. Miller, our director of facilities, when he looked at that, that was not his preference. We've had issues in the past with epoxy floors of keeping them clean. It's a rough surface for slip resistance, but keeping it clean, and it also usually damages a lot of the cleaning equipment that we use. So it was actually a district request to put in quarry tile, but the board heard at our board meeting at OP a month ago that we've had some issues with the concession stand. We are not totally resolved with those issues, so until we get resolution on what caused the heaving of the floor, we don't think it's prudent to move that change order forward. So that's why we requested to take it off. And we have another meeting set up tomorrow on the concession stand, and we do plan on, once we have a plan to resolve the issues, coming back to the board and giving them an update so that you'll be apprised of how we move forward and make sure we get what we paid for.
All right, thank you, Greg and Jill. Then you're golden. Okay, so I need a motion to approve the items on the amended consent agenda. Jeremy, second. Karen, is there any discussion?
Okay, so thank you. I just wanted to say, because I know I had asked a question about the floor and the concession stand, is that when we do the final analysis and we're looking at the cleaning and all of that, having some tile floors at home, I would suggest the grout might not be much easier to clean than the epoxy floors. So we should really look at all of those factors. Thank you.
Yeah, in the consent agenda, I noticed that policies are not in place there for the board for first reading that we had just looked at in the month of April. That was some type of oversight. So in the next meeting, for the June 12th meeting, you'll probably have a large amount of first reads. There'll probably be about 10 policies for first read. So any complaints, give it to the president.
Greg, I just have a question regarding the dissolution of the clubs. Was there leftover funding, and where does it go if there was?
Carla, I'm not sure if there was leftover funding. I would actually have to check, but by board policy, if there is leftover funding, it gets transferred back to student council or student senate, whatever the leadership organization for those buildings are, and the funds revert back to the building.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? I'm not suggesting that those policies were forwarded to me a couple days ago. I'm just saying they're not in the agenda, and they will be. Next up is committee reports. And Dom, why don't we start with you on policy?
Yeah, we just met on the 15th of this month. We discussed an additional 5 policies. We tabled one for the committee for next year to look at. We finished up all our milestones that we needed to in the policy book. And I want to thank all the committee members, Phil, Carla. I want to also thank Greg. I want to thank Joe, and I believe Karen also. I'm sorry, she's hopefully will take on the position for next year if she chooses. At this time, Mr. President, I officially ask that we recess the Policy Committee until the new reorganization meeting in the month of July. Thanks, everybody, for their service.
Outstanding job, Dom. Thank you. Communications, Jeremy.
Communications Committee is in recess until the reorg.
And Matt.
Okay, the Audit Committee held its meeting on May 15th, and we discussed the position of Deputy Internal Claims Auditor and recommend the creation and filling of the position be paid on a per diem basis. The board needs to act on that. We received and discussed the Internal Claims Auditor quarterly report and then we received and discussed the draft of the 2012-13 Extra Classroom Fund Audit Corrective Action Plan. The corrective action plan was recommended for approval, and we just did that. And the Audit Committee has adjourned until September 2014. The minutes will be available online.
All right. Thank you, committee chairs. Job well done this year. Next item on tonight's agenda will be a resolution to name an acting superintendent. And I will need a motion. And by the way, board members, the resolution is in front of you. I'm sure everyone has had a chance to look at it. And I will need a motion to approve the resolution to appoint Bob LaRouche as acting superintendent. Carla, thank you. Second. Jeremy, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Next item on tonight's agenda is public comment. And again, I haven't seen a lot of people come or go, so I think we all know the rules, and public comment is open.
283 Coronado Drive. I would like to invite the board to our Bald for Bucks event tomorrow. It's at 12:15. We have over 40 members of the Wayne community, staff and students, shaving or cutting their hair. It's going to be a really nice event, and we've already raised over $13,000 to help teens with cancer, so please join us.
Where?
It will be in the big gym here at the high school.
In the gym at the high school.
Yes, absolutely. 12:15 it starts. Yep, thanks.
Jerry Myler, 6106 Lincoln Road. I have a surprise question because I was not aware of the amended agenda. I would like to ask for a public reading of the resolution and the appointment of an interim superintendent, only because I really don't know what's going on there. So if somebody could read it, I would like to ask that be done. Obviously, I know you don't have to do that. Next, with my prepared comments, I'd like to, first of all, congratulate the three newly elected board members. I would like to say, as I'm personally disappointed that the budget was approved, but I'm guessing that the members of the board already knew that. With that in mind, I'd like to offer a few comments. For the 2013-14 budget, the spending plan was underspent by $2.2 million. $2.2 million to me is still a lot of money. Just for an example, with that money, with $2.2 million, we could have bought every district student an iPad mini. And after we bought those iPad minis, we still would have had $1.2 million left over. We could have funded a field trip for every elementary school to the Rochester Zoo. We could have funded a field trip to the Rochester Museum and Science Center for every middle school student. We could have funded driver ed for every high school student. I'm a little tired of hearing about what we're doing for the students and seeing our budgeted monies underspent. If the district wishes to continue to put forth fictitious and misleading spending plans, I really would like to ask that we use our hard-earned money on something tangible. Specifically in this case, it's my understanding that this year, as part of the FPP, we had to close our gym. We asked parents to pay for their students to take ice skating lessons or go bowling. To me, that's asking parents to fund mandated curriculum. I'd like to ask, well, for this year's budget, funds beyond the $2.2 million, I'm aware of at least $250,000 surplus from the TRS fund that has not yet been expensed. The March year-end or March month-end fund balance report had another $140,000 excess. I'd like to see us take this $400,000 and reimburse the parents that had to pay for mandated curriculum. That's what I'd be asking this board to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more public comments?
Hi, Christine Duncan, 474 Shorewood Trail. As many of you know from me recently speaking at the last board meeting, or maybe it was the one before, I've had some issues with my student in the district, and that was something that I approached the board about and have approached the superintendent about. So there's still some lingering issues that are going on, even after prom and after all those events have occurred, because her issue wasn't specific necessarily to prom. It was more specific to students with special needs. So when you say to the community that there's an acting superintendent, it's very concerning to me because I still have these lingering issues. And I think both myself and the people who are sitting here, the community would like to know where the superintendent is and what has happened to the superintendent and why we currently need an acting superintendent. And I would like for you guys to respond to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Public comment is still open. And public comment is closed. Okay. Thank you. Public comment's still open.
I've never been here before. I don't even live in this area, but I am an educator. My name is Ann Fiorino. I live in Pittsford, New York, 65 Clearview Drive, and I've been following the issues that have been going on in the news of the school board superintendent, and I've been listening, and I'm pretty familiar with the politics of education. And I'd like to commend some people in the community that had the strength and the courage to come forth and bring things out that were not popular, just as what I just saw here, commending a young girl who did a public service coming forward about something, again, that was not popular, and that we applauded her for her strength. And I think there's people in the community that I personally would like to applaud for coming forward and bringing things out that may not be popular, that are bringing about a change in the community that I think is going to serve everybody. And I'd like to give those people applaud for their strength and courage coming forward.
All right, thank you. Now public comment is closing. Okay, thank you. So next item on tonight's agenda would be board member comments. So I'll open it back up to board members. Oh, I'm sorry.
So I just wanted to make a comment regarding the presentation that we saw on IB. I think IB is a wonderful program, and I think it's a great opportunity for a lot of kids, as Ms. Miller said, to gain some skills in maybe looking at things in a different way, critical thinking, bringing different subjects together to get sort of more of a broad-based view of things, and I think that's great. I also think that not every child learns the same way, and not every family has the same plans for their kids after school, after high school. So I also think it's great that we offer the AP program, we offer Project Lead the Way, we offer Gemini. I don't have any kids in the IB program. I have one that's doing AP and one that's doing Project Lead the Way. But I think that variety of offerings allows our kids to find the best fit for them, so that they can get the most out of their high school experience that they can for whatever they're planning to do after high school.
I just wanted to let the rest of the board know I will be there for the Going Bald for Bucks, because there's a young man back there that's been in desperate need of a haircut for a while, so he's going to be there tomorrow. I want to take pictures and put them on video. If anybody else wants to join me.
Any other board members? All right, next is board president comments. I will start by saying in advance that I apologize. I will not be here at the next meeting. I scheduled a trip that I can't miss months and months and months ago, so I will not be able to be here at the next meeting on June 12th. And my thunder was stolen yet again. I have a small statement prepared, and the resolution has been acted on, and it will be public, so I would be happy to read that. I have it in front of me. The statement goes something like this. The board will be appointing an acting superintendent this evening. The board understands that this action may raise a number of questions in the school and in the community. What I am free to tell you at this time is that the superintendent is on personal leave of absence, and that the board is confident that the appointment of Mr. LaRouche as acting superintendent will ensure that the educational mission of the district will continue to move forward while the superintendent is on leave. And that's really all I can say at this time, folks. As for the resolution, I would be happy to read it. Matter of fact, I'm going to tell you that I was going to read it anyways. Whereas Superintendent Renee Garrett will be temporarily unavailable to carry out her duties as superintendent, and whereas the board is desirous of appointing a qualified person to serve as acting superintendent during the period commencing on or about May 27th, 2014, to oversee and direct district operations and to additionally provide the Board of Education with assistance during the anticipated leave of the superintendent. And whereas the Board of Education, after due consideration, has determined that current principal of Ontario Primary School Robert LaRouche possesses the qualifications and experience to serve as the acting superintendent of the Wayne Central School District, to continue the orderly administration of the district's educational and operational affairs, and to undertake such duties and responsibilities on behalf of the district. Whereas Mr. LaRouche has agreed to accept the board's offer of appointment to additionally serve as the district acting superintendent. Now, therefore, this board, pursuant to applicable provisions of the New York State Education Law, hereby appoints Robert LaRouche as acting superintendent of schools of the Wayne Central School District at a per diem rate of $200 a day, effective on or about May 27th, 2014. Be it further resolved that, as acting superintendent, Mr. LaRouche shall possess all authority and responsibility to serve as superintendent of schools of the Wayne Central School District, and be it further resolved that in accordance with the applicable provisions of the educational law, the district shall defend, indemnify, and hold harmless Mr. LaRouche from any claims that may arise in connection with his services as acting superintendent during such period. That is the statement, that is the resolution, and that is also the conclusion of the meeting. I need a motion to adjourn. Deb, can I get a second? Matt, all in favor? Any discussion? No, it's Jeremy. Oh, okay, Jeremy. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Have a good night.